I came back to this apartment after my divorce because it was the cheapest one-bedroom in the building, and because the woman who showed it to me didn't try to sell me on anything. She unlocked the door, stood in the hallway with her phone out, and said the radiator made a sound, but the sound wasn't dangerous. I signed the lease that afternoon. I have lived here for 11 months, and for 10 of them, the hallway had 3 doors. Now it has 4, but only on the mornings I oversleep. I want to tell you how that started. The layout is simple. You come in through a door that sticks in summer. You pass a narrow kitchen on the left. You walk down a short hallway with 3 doors on the right, and you end in a living room with one window that faces the back of a dry cleaner. The 3 doors on the right are, in order, a closet I use for coats, a bathroom with a tub I never use, and a bedroom that is too small for a queen bed. But I bought one anyway. That is the apartment. I could draw it from memory. I have drawn it from memory on the back of a takeout receipt, when I was trying to explain to my sister why the rent was so good. I work at a payroll processing company about 20 minutes away by bus. My job is to reconcile time card discrepancies, which means I sit at a desk and read other people's hours, and I decide whether the numbers match. My manager's name is Devin. Devin is not unkind, but he keeps a spreadsheet of everyone's arrival times, and he pulls it up during one-on-ones. I have been late 3 times since January, and each time he has made the same small gesture with his mouth, like he is tasting something he doesn't want to swallow. The first time I noticed the door, I thought I had misremembered the hallway. It was a Tuesday in March. I had slept through my alarm because I had been up reading old emails from my ex-wife, which is a habit I am not proud of. I woke up at 14 minutes past 8, which gave me about 16 minutes to get out of the apartment if I wanted to make the bus. I did the things you do. I pulled on yesterday's shirt. I brushed my teeth without looking. I came out of the bathroom and walked down the hallway toward the front door, and on my left, between the bathroom and the kitchen, there was a door I had never seen before. I want to be careful here because I know how this sounds. I did not stop. I did not investigate. I saw it the way you see a coat on a chair when you're rushing, the way you register something without really looking at it. I made the bus, and I did not think about the door again until I was at my desk around 11. And the thought arrived fully formed, like someone had tapped me on the shoulder. There's a door in my hallway that wasn't there yesterday. When I got home that night, the door was gone. The wall was the wall. I checked the paint, which was the same eggshell color as the rest of the hallway. I checked the baseboard, which ran continuously along the floor without a break. I pressed my palm against the plaster and felt nothing but plaster. I told myself I had been half asleep. I told myself the brain fills in details when it's panicking about a bus. I made pasta and I went to bed, and for a while I almost believed myself. The second time was a Friday in April. My alarm did go off, but I silenced it and fell back asleep. And when I woke up, I had 11 minutes to be at the bus stop. I came out of the bedroom, and the door was there again, in the same place between the bathroom and the kitchen, on the left side of the hallway, the side that should not have any doors at all, the side that is shared with the next apartment over. This time I stopped. I stopped for maybe 4 seconds. The door was wooden, painted the same eggshell as the wall, with a brass handle that had the slightly tarnished look of a fixture that had been there for decades. I put my hand on the handle. It was cold, in the way that metal is cold in an apartment that runs the heat too low. I did not turn it. I let go. I left. I caught the bus by running the last block, and the whole way there, I could feel the shape of that handle still in my palm. At work, I told a coworker named Priya about it, framing it as a dream, and she laughed and said her brain did the same thing when she was stressed, that once she had hallucinated a second cat. I laughed too. I went home that night, and the door was gone again. I started paying attention to my mornings after that, not because I believed anything was happening, but because I wanted to rule it out. I am the kind of person who reconciles time cards for a living. I like a clean column. For the next 3 weeks, I made a point of being early, of waking up at 6:30 and being at the bus stop by 8:10. And during those 3 weeks, the hallway had 3 doors on the right and 0 doors on the left, exactly as it should. Then, in early May, I had a dentist appointment that ran late the night before. I forgot to set my alarm, and I woke up at 22 minutes past 8. The door was there, same place, same brass handle. This time I was angry. in the specific way you get angry at things that won't stop being absurd. I said out loud to the empty apartment that I did not have time for this. I went to work. I caught the bus with 30 seconds to spare. And on the bus, with my forehead against the window, I noticed something I had not noticed before. My left shoe was tied differently than my right. I do not tie my shoes in two different ways. I tie them the way my father taught me, which is a specific kind of double knot, and the right shoe had the double knot, but the left shoe had a single bow, the kind a child does, the kind I haven't done since I was maybe 7 years old. I looked at it for the entire bus ride. I retied it before I walked into the office. My hands were not quite steady when I did. That night, I sat in the hallway for 2 hours with the lights on. I had a beer in my hand the whole time, and then another one, and the door, of course, was not there. The wall stayed a wall. Eventually, I went to bed and told myself again that I was tired, and that tired people see things. The fourth time, in the middle of May, I opened it. I had stayed up late on a video call with my sister, who lives in Denver, and who had been crying about her own divorce. I overslept by almost 40 minutes. When I came out of the bedroom, I had no chance of catching the bus. I knew immediately I was going to have to call Devin and use the word sick, even though I wasn't, and I was already composing the message in my head when I saw the door. Something about the lateness, the certainty that the day was already lost, made me walk over and turn the handle. The door opened inward. Behind it was a room. It was a small room, maybe 8 feet by 10, with a single window that should not have been able to exist, because that wall was a shared wall with the next apartment. The window looked out on a view I did not recognize. A row of low buildings under a flat grey sky. No dry cleaner, no fire escape. Nothing I had ever seen from this building. The room had a wooden chair, a small writing desk, and on the desk there was a yellow legal pad. On the legal pad there was handwriting. The handwriting was mine. I want to be specific about this, because it matters. I am not someone who has a distinctive hand. My handwriting is neat and slightly cramped, and it slants very slightly to the right, and I have not changed the way I write since I was about 19. The handwriting on the pad was mine, and what it said, in a long unbroken paragraph, was a description of a morning I did not remember having. It described waking up, getting dressed, walking down the hallway, opening a door, sitting at a desk, and writing about waking up. It described it in present tense. The last sentence was unfinished. It said, and then I look at the door, and I closed the pad. I left the room. I closed the door behind me. I went back to my bedroom, sat on the edge of the bed, and called in sick for real this time, because I could feel my hands shaking, and I did not trust myself to talk to anyone in person. When I went to look at the hallway again, about an hour later, the door was gone. I went to the bedroom and looked for the legal pad. I do not own a yellow legal pad. There was no yellow legal pad in the apartment. There was no evidence at all that the room had been there, except the cold, which was still in my fingers. I want to tell you that I did the rational thing after that. The rational thing would have been to move out, or to talk to a doctor, or to at least tell my sister. I did not do any of those things. What I did was start being late on purpose. I told myself I was investigating. I told myself I needed data. I started staying up too late, deliberately, on Sunday and Wednesday nights, so that I would oversleep on Monday and Thursday. And when the door appeared, I would open it and read the legal pad. The pad was always on the desk. The handwriting was always mine. The entries were always descriptions of the morning I was currently having, written in present tense, ending mid-sentence at the moment I picked up the pad. It took me about 3 weeks to notice that the entries were getting longer. The first one had been maybe 4 sentences. By the middle of June, the entries were filling entire pages. They described things I had not done yet. They described the bus ride I was about to take. They described a phone call I would receive from Priya about a clerical error. They described the sandwich I would buy at lunch, and the fact that the cashier would short me 40 cents, and I would not say anything. All of these things happened, every one of them, in the order the pad had given me. I stopped reading past the first paragraph. I would open the door, glance at the page to confirm the handwriting was still mine, and close the pad. I told myself this was a kind of discipline. I think now it was something closer to fear. In late June, I overslept on a day I had not meant to. I had set my alarm. I had gone to bed at a reasonable time. I woke up at 9:04, and the alarm had not gone off, and when I checked my phone, the alarm was still set for 6:30, in the on position, with no record of having rung. The door was in the hallway. I opened it. The legal pad was there. The first paragraph described me waking up at 9:04 and finding the alarm still set. The second paragraph described me reading the first paragraph. The third paragraph was longer than the others had ever been, and it described, in calm and careful prose, the rest of my day. It included a conversation I would have with Devin, in which he would tell me that the company was letting me go. It included a phone call I would have with my sister afterwards, in which I would not tell her. It included the dinner I would eat alone. It included the way I would lie in bed at 20 to midnight and decide to sleep through my alarm again the next morning, on purpose. I read the whole thing. I could not stop myself. At the bottom of the page, in the same handwriting, was a sentence that said, "You have been writing this for longer than you think." I sat with that for a while. Then I got up, and I closed the door, and I went to work, because the page had told me I would. Devin let me go at 2:15, citing attendance. He made the same small gesture with his mouth. I called my sister at 4, and I did not tell her the way the page had said I would not. I ate a frozen meal at 7:30. At 20 to midnight, I was lying in bed, and I realized that I was deciding to sleep through my alarm the next morning on purpose, and I had not decided it until that moment, and the moment had been written about, that morning, in a room that should not exist, in handwriting that was mine. That was when I understood what I had been reading. It was not a prediction. It was a record. I have not been to work since, because I do not have work to go to. The rhythm of being late no longer applies. I thought, at first, that this would mean the door would stop appearing, because there is no morning to be late for. For 2 days, the hallway was the hallway, and I felt something like relief. I made coffee. I sat at the window. I almost called my sister back. On the third day, I overslept anyway. I do not know what I was late for. I woke up with that specific panicked feeling of having missed something, and the door was there, and I opened it. The legal pad was thicker now. It is the same yellow pad, but the pages go back further than they should. I have flipped through it. The early entries are in my handwriting from when I was younger, the looser version I had in college, and they describe mornings I do remember, mornings from years ago, mornings before I lived in this apartment. There is an entry about the morning my wife told me she was leaving. There is an entry about the morning of my father's funeral. The handwriting in those entries is mine from those years, the way I wrote then, which is not the way I write now. The most recent entry, the one at the front of the pad, is being written while I am in the room. I have watched it. I sat in the chair yesterday for about an hour and watched the pen, which was not in my hand, move across the page in my handwriting and describe me sitting in the chair, watching the pen. I am writing this on my laptop in the living room. I have not opened the door today. The hallway has been the hallway since I woke up, which was at 6:30, on time, without an alarm, because I have not needed an alarm in some days now. I do not know what I am late for. I have the feeling very strongly that I am late for something, and that the door will be there when I go to check, and that the legal pad will have an entry describing me typing this sentence. I am not going to check. I am going to finish typing and close the laptop and sit on the couch and not move. I want to be clear that this is a decision I am making myself, freely, and not something that was written down in advance. That is the part I have to hold on to. That is the only part that is still mine. I have been sitting here for a while now. The hallway is quiet. I can see the wall on the left side from where I'm sitting. And it is a wall. It is just a wall. I am going to keep looking at it. I am not going to get up. I am not going to be late for anything. I have been telling myself I am the one writing this. I am going to keep sitting here. I am not going to look down the hallway again. I already know what I would see.